There is the coining of a story, or a paraphrase of an old story. There's a very great Zen master who had come to the time where he must choose a successor. So, taking his robe and his staff, he gathered a select number of his acolytes before him, and he asked them the question, "What is the Buddha?" Now the first student responded and said, "The Buddha is the precepts, the teachings by which we must live." And the old master said, "You have my skin." And then he turned to the second student, and the second student said, "The Buddha is the Dharma, the service, the purpose of life." And the old master said, "You have my flesh." Then he turned to the third, and the third said, "The Buddha is the Sangha, the company of the Holy One, to be remembered at every moment." And the old master said, "You have my bones." And he turned to another, who said, "There is no Buddha. There is only Buddha nature." The old master said, "You have my marrow." And then he turned to another, and the student merely looked at the old master and lowered his eyes. To this student, the old master handed his robe and his staff. As was said on Sunday, there are often times when those who come, when the analogy of the spiritual path is made with the dismantling of our house. When we embark on our spiritual journey, we begin to empty out all the extraneous matter in our house, and then we take out the drapes, the curtains, and then we remove the windows and the doors, and then the roof comes off, and the walls are dismantled, until all that remains is the foundation stone. And this foundation stone can be equated with the loincloth of the monk, and we all know that story, or even the fig leaf of Adam. So another story. So this story is about a woman who was about to give birth to a child. And so the midwife was called. And this old midwife came from a long line of midwives. She was sagacious, and she knew the ways of the arcane. But when she came to the house, a servant brought a glass of milk to the expectant mother. But when the expectant mother was about to put the glass of milk to her lips, she noticed that in the glass there was a long black hair. And as she looked at this glass, she began to shake, and then she fainted on the floor. The midwife took the glass of milk and cast her eyes around the room to see that there was no other person in the room that had long black hair. So she immediately had a realization, and she asked for a corked flagon to be bought. And she tipped the glass of milk into the flagon and quickly put the cork. And then she began to shake the flagon with all her might until screams could be heard. And the midwife took out the cork from the bottle, and out of the bottle's mouth emerged a head. This head had long black hair that went deep down into the flagon, and the midwife immediately knew that this was a demoness, none other than Lilith, the queen of the demons herself. And the midwife demanded of this demon, "Why have you come here?" And Lilith answered, "I come because I seek the afterbirth of the child. We use this to feed our children." The midwife grabbed the demoness Lilith by her hair, knowing that no demon could escape when their hair was held. And she demanded, even though she had fear, "How did this Lilith manage to enter this house?" And Lilith said, "Because this house has no protection, there is no amulet here." The midwife held the hair of the demoness tighter and said, "What would happen to the woman?" And Lilith said, "She would die." So the midwife was about to press the demoness back into the bottle, thinking that she would put the cork back in and throw it into the ocean, when Lilith, realizing what was about to be done, begged, "Please, please, do not do so. I will leave this place and leave all in peace, never to return." But the midwife held even more tightly and said, "No, before I free you, you must promise that you will serve this family for 3 years. And now you must make this vow on the 3 angels who cast you as a demoness." Now Lilith could do nothing else, because the 3 angels who had cast her into the role of the queen of the demons was none other than her true self, and she had to make this vow. So it happened. Lilith, the queen of the demons, served this family in all ways after which she departed, never to return again. We can ask ourselves, what do these many stories, which bring into them an amulet, a stone filled with light, and so on and so on, what could we equate them to in this recognition that our spiritual journey brings us to the point when all has been dismantled, that only a foundation stone remains. And like the monk and his loincloth can be that which leads us back into life and its trappings and its seductions, or that foundation stone being able to bring another house to be built. What would you see as the relationship between the amulet, the stones, and this foundation stone? This foundation stone that must be removed, leaving not a trace. It can be asked, what is your foundation stone? What does your mind come back to rest on? And as it becomes quicksand and sand and begins to be blown away, what does this amulet represent for us? What is your sabotage? What is the thorn in your side? What is the gremlin in your works? And how do you deal with it when it arises? The thought, I'm not good enough. I won't succeed. I can't do this. And so on and so on and so on. What is your amulet? Thank you, thank you.